So with the release of Ironheart, Marvel Studios Phase 5 has now officially ended, and we're going to rank all the movies and the TV shows from worst to best. There's honestly going to probably be some hot takes in this. These are my own opinions. If you guys disagree, let me know down in the comments. I read every single one. I most likely will respond to it. Also, before we get started, we're on the road to 4,000 subs, and if you're new to the channel, I would love to have you here. Seriously. Also, let's see if we can get this video to 100 likes. All right, let's go ahead and start the ranking.
I'm SpiderMan.
Coming in at last place, to nobody's surprise for me and probably for a lot of people, is Secret Invasion. This show marketed itself as a spy thriller. We were really excited for it. It looked dark, it looked dreary. We were kind of hoping that they would do what they did in the comics, but for this show. And honestly, I think the first mistake of this project is the fact that it is a show and not a movie. This is a huge event from Marvel Comics where we find out several of our heroes are in fact Skrulls, and this show kind of just takes the name Secret Invasion and a little bit of the concept, but doesn't really touch on anything from the source material. This show really just upset me and a lot of people because of its lackluster content, as well as some of the crazy decisions that they made. Also, I'm going to be talking about spoilers for all of these shows and movies, so you've been warned. They decide to kill Maria Hill in this show. They also decide to let us know that Rhodey, War Machine, has been a Skrull for God knows how long. There's just so many writing choices that just did not make sense in the slightest to me. That, coupled with the fact that we had the Marvels release right after that did have Skrulls in it, and the Nick Fury from that movie compared to the Nick Fury from Secret Invasion just was completely changed. Overall, just a huge disappointment in my book. I hope they just kind of forget about it. I do think that Gaia was a cool character, and I would like to see her again in the future, considering she has kind of the Super Skrull powers. But honestly, unfortunately, I think the less we talk about this series, the better. It just really saddens me to say, because I was hoping for a lot with that show, and that was a period of Marvel where we were all just like, man, could this even get any worse? Okay, that's enough trash talking. I think that's the only series in this entire ranking that I absolutely despise and probably will never watch again. So let's move on to number 14. At number 14, I have I Am Groot, both season 1 and season 2. These are just fun little shorts. I don't really have too much to say about them. They're adorable, they're cute, they're for kids. It's just cool to see something like that, a fun little project pop up in this little area. Yeah, overall, I just don't have much to say about it because it's just short little content, but it's still fun and it's definitely better than Secret Invasion. At number 13, I have What If season 2 and season 3. I bundled these two seasons together because they're kind of the same thing. They're a bunch of what if stories. I mean, you guys know the premise, but honestly, this is so low on the list because none of this really stuck for me. They decided to end the series and try to connect it to other things when really the whole premise of What If is to just have fun and talk about really cool concepts that could have happened. This is a project that should just have been fun, different concepts every single week, and it should still be going on. They didn't need an overarching story, and I do enjoy a lot of parts of this show considering all of the things that they did with new characters such as Kahori, we've got the Watcher, but none of it I've really thought about since it actually released. I'm not saying What If was bad, maybe just mishandled. Up next, we have our first film in the list, and this is actually a film that I've kind of changed my mind on a little bit, and that is number 12, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I think I was just so on board with leading into the Kang Dynasty that I wanted this movie to be something that it wasn't. It really wowed me when I saw it because of the visuals and the big shot that it took of taking the micro universe that they had in the quantum realm and kind of exposing that to our heroes and having that be the main setting of the movie. But going back to it, it is pretty messy. I like a lot of aspects of this film. I think Cassie Lang is a cool addition. I honestly really like MODOK too, and Kang gets introduced here in a good way, but the way they deal with his character later on in the film really confuses me, as they were supposed to be setting him up as the big bad for the future of the MCU. Before this movie came out, I had made peace with the fact that Ant-Man or Wasp would have died in this film at the hands of Kang the Conqueror. That would have built the stakes. That would have made Kang seem that much more dangerous. We got a tease for him in Loki season 1, and now this big reveal of this character and how dangerous he is. But no, he gets defeated by Ant-Man, and not just Ant-Man, but a bunch of ants. That, coupled with the very, very weird ending. If you guys haven't seen this movie in a while, I highly suggest going to watch the last 15-20 minutes of it. It seems very crammed, very rushed, and very uncanny. And maybe this is on purpose, and maybe this is something they're going to talk about with Doomsday or something like that. I hope so, because it's very jarring, and this movie is just kind of a mixed bag. You either love it or you hate it, and over time, my love for it has very much dwindled down to a it's not that great. Coming in at number 11, it's The Marvels. It's not a bad movie in my opinion. I actually really enjoyed my time with it. The problem is, it's just a little forgettable. The thing I remember most about this film are the action sequences with Miss Marvel, with Captain Marvel, and Monica Rambeau. The most forgettable aspect of this movie is, of course, the villain and the storyline and what it means. I think the thing that's most important about this film and what people are only going to remember this film for is the post-credit scene with Monica Rambeau going into a new universe, colliding with the X-Men from a different universe. Which is unfortunate because there's a lot of fun stuff in here. It's just unfortunately forgettable. So I couldn't put it any lower than this, but I couldn't bring myself to put it any higher. Coming in at number 10, we have Ekko. This series actually kind of surprised me. It's not perfect in any way. It's still number 10 on this list, but there are a lot of things in this show that actually exceeded my expectations. The Daredevil episode was awesome. The connection with Kingpin is cool. The whole dynamic with her family was really enjoyable and kind of deep on certain levels, so I really enjoyed that. I think her powers are very cool, and I'm excited to see her continue her street level legacy in future projects, maybe even Daredevil Born Again season 2, 3, Spider-Man, whatever you name it. Speaking of Spider-Man, at number 9, I have Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. In complete transparency, as Spider-Man is my favorite character of all time, this series did not get me very excited. There was a lot of talk before this about it being in the MCU versus not in the MCU, being the prequel to Homecoming, and I'm glad they did away with all of that because what we actually got exceeded my expectations again. Coleman Domingo as Norman Osborn, Peter Parker being a science kid, kind of delving into the little multiverse stuff with the Venom monster and things like that, but it's still very grounded. I loved the story of Lonnie Lincoln's Tombstone and all of the side characters. I thought this was really fun, and I am very much so looking forward to season 2. Coming in at number 8 is Captain America: Brave New World. The reason that this movie falls in the middle of the list for me is not because it's bad or because it's exceptional, it's just because it doesn't break any new ground. I feel like if you did the show Captain America and a Winter Soldier and combined it with Brave New World and presented that in a 2-part film format, I think that would have worked a lot better than what we got with the Disney Plus series then the movie. That being said, I had a great time with this movie. I thought the Red Hulk stuff was really cool, wish there was more of it, but I think Sam Wilson really establishes himself as Captain America in this film. I think some of the subplots with the Serpent Society can just, not exist, and this movie would maybe be better for it, or maybe just write it in a way that it fits more into the plot, because it is really heavy and it's actually more so a Hulk sequel than it is a Captain America movie, which is a little jarring for some people. I like this movie a lot more than some people do. Heck, I've even rewatched this movie on Disney Plus already, but it is what it is. It's not too crazy. It does introduce some elements to the MCU like adamantium, and the Celestial Island is brought up again from Eternals, so that's really nice, but in terms of character groundbreaking moments, there isn't too much for Sam Wilson to do. I do love the stuff with Isaiah Bradley. It's just nothing too spectacular. Although I am very excited to see Sam lead the Avengers in Doomsday. I think that's going to be epic. Coming in at number 7 is a series that actually blew me away, and that is Agatha All Along. This show was an absolute blast. It had so many elements of WandaVision brought into it, so much mystery. I was actually curious as to what was going to happen the next week, and it brought back that sense of wonder in Marvel TV like WandaVision, where each week we're trying to figure out what's going to happen next. The speculation online, it actually ramped up again. It's something I hadn't seen in a while since the early days of Disney Plus MCU. It introduces some deep cut Marvel characters. It sets up stuff for the future. It talks about Wanda returning. And most importantly, it's a good time and so damn entertaining. If you haven't watched this show and you're sleeping on it, I highly recommend it. It's a great time. Coming in at number 6 is the final installment of Marvel Studios Phase 5, and that is Ironheart. A show that nobody seemed to be talking about, but I wish more people would, because this is kind of a diamond in the rough. Actually, let me not call it a diamond in the rough, considering Phase 5, in my opinion at least, is so much better than Phase 4 was, and Marvel's really back on that upward tick in terms of quality. I think this show deserves all of the praise that it gets. In fact, I think it deserves more because of just how it looks, how it feels, and yeah, there are some moments that are a little janky, but the overarching story and how it sets up Riri's future in the MCU is genuinely exciting. That, coupled with Mephisto actually being in this show, I mean, who knows where we're gonna go from here. I really dug this series. And as much as I hated the 2-week release with 3 episodes each week, I think binging it all at once may have just been better, similar to what they did with Ekko. At number 5, I have Daredevil Born Again. I just remember how excited I was to see Daredevil back in the MCU, hearing about the rewrites, how they're gonna reshape the series for it to be better. And kind of like Captain America Brave New World, the reshoots and the restructuring of this show, starting it from scratch, giving it a more edgy tone, honestly saved it. My biggest and maybe only issue with season 1 of Daredevil Born Again is the fact that you can kind of tell what the episodes were that were in the original draft of the series versus the things that were written by the new writers. And I think I like it so much because not only does it canonize the original Netflix series and all of its characters, but what it does to set up the next season is really exciting because those writers are going to have the reins and just full control of everything. It's just so great to see Daredevil, Punisher, Kingpin back again on the screen, and I'm ready for season 2. Speaking of season 2s, at number 4 we have Loki season 2. This show should not have worked as well as it did. The writing is actually so good in this series. It's very intelligent and relies on the audience to actually think about what's happening and how things can play out. The look and feel of it, with the TVA, with the kind of old science-y vibe to it, and Loki turning into the god of stories at the end, the special effects, everything in this show, including the music, which I need to mention, is just top tier. As I've said in other videos regarding Loki season 2 and even season 1, we take Loki from the original Avengers movie and even Thor 1, and seeing where he is now in terms of character development and popularity is so incredible, and I'm so glad season 2 was as good as it was. I honestly don't think we're gonna get a season 3. I think they're finishing it off considering we're moving away from Kang, and Kang was such a big part of that storyline, and the fact that they were able to continue Kang's story with that being the last project he was in and actually finish the story and let us branch off to something new is really, really impressive. I need to go back and watch that season, honestly. It's so good. Coming in at number 3, I have Deadpool and Wolverine. After just seeing Superman, I think that movie and Deadpool and Wolverine have a lot of similarities to it. They are comic books come to life with a little bit of heart thrown in there, some comedy, and it's overall just so freaking entertaining. All of us wondered how Deadpool and even Wolverine from a different universe would fit into the MCU, and the answer is, well, they still haven't. They're aware of the MCU, they're aware of the TVA, but they kind of have this movie off to the side where if it didn't do well, they would be fine because it's not necessarily connected, but it did do so well, so we're excited to see how they're interwoven in the future, along with the old Fox characters. This movie was definitely a love letter to the Fox Marvel X-Men movies, considering you have characters like Sabretooth, Gambit, Elektra, Johnny Storm. I mean, tons of legacy characters that we never thought we'd see again that are done in a way that's respectful in this film. That, along with the fact that it is a Deadpool movie, so it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it still does have that good amount of heart in it where you can connect to it. I think this might be one of the most rewatchable MCU movies just because of how fun it is and how fast the pace is, and yeah, it's just epic. Coming in at number 2, we have Thunderbolts. This movie just blew my expectations away, along with so many other people. We have all of these new characters that have been introduced in the later seasons of the MCU, actually being able to build a relationship with the audience and letting us know more about their characters, going into some really dark themes, as well as introducing characters like Sentry. It's just awesome how much they were able to do in a very grounded yet still very superhero-y movie. The look, the feel, the score, the characters, everything just hit. And we also have that post-credit scene that is actually going to pay off in the next film. Something I think Marvel lost sight of for a while, but we're getting back to now. Thank you, MCU. And last but certainly not least, coming in at number 1 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think this might be one of James Gunn's best movies. I think this is the best out of the 3 Guardians films. I love the story revolving around Rocket and his traumatic past and who he is and who you are after somebody has done things to you. The ability to grow and have friends and family and support and moving on past trauma is a very powerful message, and James Gunn does it in a way where we still have these lighthearted, funny moments, but the serious moments break your heart. That, coupled with the fact that this is the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie for the foreseeable future, and we don't know who the members are going to be in the future installments, it's just a tearjerker. At the end of the movie, we realize that none of our Guardians actually died in this film, even though we expected someone like Rocket to, and all of them actually do get a happy ending. It was so cathartic, and just everyone in my theater while watching this was crying. These characters went through so much, and they actually got that happy ending. While I'm excited to see the future of them, I think we can let them rest for a while with that happy ending. Guys, let me know what you thought about my Phase 5 ranking down below in the comments. Again, I read every single one. I most likely will respond. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Give me your whole ranking down below. I'd love to read them. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all very, very soon.